Queen versus Big Mom. Get your tickets for this 946 review. Yo, Hegassen here and welcome to my review of One Piece chapter 946. Queen versus O-Lin. Last week we saw Big Mom literally grab Queen by the elongated neck and slam him into the ground. And this week, thankfully, we are not cutting away. The best thing about this chapter is the fact that we do not cut away at all. It's entirely in Udon Prison, which is really what I wanted to see. A lot of the fights and stuff that we get in Wano, we've been jumping around. But this one, we are mainly focused here on Big Mom with only one scene that takes us away from it. Apart from that, it's all about Big Mom. So we see her, she's slamming down Queen. She picks up Queen, she's spinning him around with absolute ease. Queen, the Brachiosaurus zone. She's swinging him around like a cat. This was the girl who picked up a giant when she was a kid and threw him over her head. So obviously a Brachiosaurus is an easy feat for her. But how is this fight? How is the power scaling that we see here? I was very worried going into this that we might see Big Mom, be at a little bit of a disadvantage, but no. She is a Yonko and she is acting like a Yonko here, even though she has been a little bit nerfed. And we're assuming the fact that because she's had her memory loss, she doesn't know how to use any of her main attacks like her Elbaf moves or any of her Devil Fruit powers. She's just going off of the raw strength that she's always had. Like I said, as a kid she was throwing giants around, she beat up a bear with one punch. So she's just going off her raw natural strength. But I have to give Queen some credit here because he's not getting completely destroyed. Sure, he's getting picked up, thrown around, knocked about and everything, and he got pushed out of his zone form. But we see here that he is at least tanking some of the hits, which is kind of what I want. I want to see Big Mom proving that she is a Yonko Commando level, but at the same time I don't want to see Queen coming off as really weak. Sure, he can't get a hit in, and we never really saw a good hit from him go on Big Mom, which I'm a little bit disappointed about, so we can't get that kind of power scaling of what Queen's attacks would do to Big Mom. But it's clear here that at least Queen can't get a big hit in on Big Mom, because of the fact that she's just so strong, she's so fast. Every time he gets close, she just grabs him, throws him about, and even at this base level, she is stronger than him. And like I say, he is still strong enough to tank some of these hits. Sure, he's got like a little nosebleed here, but for the most part, he just seems like he's had the wind kicked out of him, He just seems like he's there on the floor, like a little bit stunned, like, oh my, what is going on? For me, that's a pretty satisfying conclusion to these two's little scuffle. I don't know if it's completely over yet, because like I say, Queen, he isn't knocked out cold. He still has a bit of life left in him. He's still there thinking and talking, so he could easily get back up and rejoin this fight. But I don't want him to get too beaten up in this. Worst case scenario is Queen here gets completely destroyed, and then later on he's either completely absent from the rest of the arc, or he comes back and he fights someone like, say, Sanji, and Sanji gets a really easy win because of the fact that Queen has already been so badly beat up. What I don't want is another Cracker situation, where Cracker gets completely beat up at the beginning of the arc and then we never see him or hear from him again. We don't even know how he is right now. So I don't want that with Queen, so I'm happy with what we got to see here, and that now later on we can maybe still get that fight with Sanji, although personally I'd love to see Queen versus Frankie and get like a little dance contest going on. I think their personality clashing would be really good. Now, if Big Mom was at full strength and she did know how to use her Devil Fruit and stuff, I think this would be a completely different story. I think everybody in this Udon prison would have years of their lives, if not their entire lives, taken away from them. But here at base level, Big Mom is still doing a great job. Now there is actually more going on to the fight than just Big Mom versus Queen, because during this fight, Big Mom turning up, as a lot of us kind of predicted, she solves a lot of problems that we are facing. We had, from last chapter, Kid and Killer, they were suspended in water, so they were basically being drowned until Luffy either gives up and jumps out the ring, then that would save Kid and Killer's life, or if Luffy somehow manages to get his collar off and then rescue them. But here, no need to worry about them anymore, because Big Mom comes in, picks up Queen, throws Queen, he hits the stand that they're on, and then we see Kid and Killer on the floor out of the water again. If they can untie themselves, then hopefully they can join in on the fight. And Big Mom solves another problem, which is Kawamatsu's cell, because she throws Queen and Queen hits that cell and the cell gate busts open a little bit, and then you can't see inside. You don't really know if Kawamatsu is still in there. We're assuming he is because he's got the handcuffs on, but we don't see his like eyes glaring out like we normally do. and we get all of the gifters and stuff talking about the fact that whoever's in there is probably dead. I very much doubt that. I'm pretty sure that Kawamatsu is going to be extremely strong, and that now he can get out, and we could finally actually get to see what he looks like. On the cover page spread of this issue, really nice one, we had Kinemon and Osuru. They were going on a date. Really nice little scene, and something that I really hope that at the end of this arc we actually get to see them two doing, because they haven't met yet. Hopefully this isn't some like kind of bad omen, like that we're never going to get to see them reunite, because that would be really sad. But in this shot we do see a little Tanuki, and that Tanuki's got the same kind of hat as Kawamatsu, and obviously way back before the Kappa stuff we were all speculating that Kawamatsu might be a mink. This very much could still be the case. You know, we see that he's very proficient and stuff underwater, so that otter mink stuff could still be very, very real. This was a raccoon dog, but still, you know, a little bit more speculation on the fire as to what Kawamatsu could look like. But like I said, Kawamatsu, he's in that cage. The cage is now busted open, but he's still got the handcuffs on. So we know that Raizo has gone off to try and find them keys, and this is the one time that we kind of cut away from the main focus of Luffy and Big Mom. We're still in Udon Prison, but we're now in like the kind of headquarters area where Raizo and Caribou are trying to do some stuff that will assist on the big prison breakout that we're ultimately now going to get. And here Caribou is being extremely helpful. Caribou tells us all of this information, you know, a nice little bit of lore building here in the middle of this chapter about how the pond snail Den Mushis work in Wano. We find out that the pond snails on their own aren't very strong. They haven't got a very strong signal, so they have to send that signal to like a boss snail, this great big snail that then sends that off to the other regions, and that each region has its own boss snail, and that probably helps explain the fact as to why Wano is so isolated. The pond snails that they have, the signals are so weak it can't really leave the country, not without boosts, and even then the boosts can only take it to each other region. So what Caribou says here is that he's going to smother it. Or what I was thinking was he was like going to put a blanket on it or something. But now thinking about it, he's probably just going to use his swamp power and engulf it and take it with him. Maybe he can actually take it with him, and then the Alliance can use it as their own like little communication thing if they can get a hold of another one somewhere else. And while this is going on, Raizo is looking for Kawamatsu's keys. I don't think he's aware of the fact as to what's actually going on, and that Kawamatsu's cell has been busted open, and that it's going to be a lot easier now to free him. Although maybe not, because as we see, Queen is actually right outside of the cell where Kawamatsu is. But the main focus here is the fact that Caribou's been extremely helpful. You know, I would have thought that in all of this commotion he would have like slipped off. He is a Logia after all, so he could just like slime off, slip through a little gap. You know, he's like a water, mud kind of fruit, so he can just slip off through a little gap and escape. But no, he's very much being helpful. He's very much sticking around and wanting to help free Luffy and everyone. So we don't know what his agenda is overall. Earlier on, Luffy was very much like, oh well, if you've changed, that's alright then, sure. So, and we know that Luffy has a good sense of people's hearts and stuff, so maybe he very much has changed for the better. Like I say, be interesting to see how his character progresses. But now I want to get back into the Big Mum stuff. So she goes over to where the Oshiruku is, this great big pot. We find out from one of the gifters that the pot is empty and she's just smelling the residue. And there's this hilarious panel where she opens the pot, realizes it's empty, and we get like the most depressed look that we've ever seen. I feel like Oda really likes drawing Big Mum because she looks great throughout this chapter, and all of the faces that she's done all the way from like back in Whole Cake has been really good. So I feel like Oda really likes drawing Big Mum, and it's just such a funny look. She looks like just a really sad bear, like, oh my Oshiruku. And we find out here that looks like Caribou, she's got a complete change of character as well. She was trying to get the Oshiruku not because she had these hunger pangs, but because she wanted to take it back to the people of Leftover Town to give back to them, because they obviously gave her food, so she wants to repay the debt. So what's going on here? Wano's a strange place. We've got Caribou being helpful, we've got Big Mum being nice. What's next? Is Zoro going to go in the right direction for a change? Who knows? But then we get into the grand finale, and before we get into the grand finale, just like Big Mum smashing down Queen, you guys can smash the like and subscribe button. That will be really helpful, really helps this channel, and I greatly appreciate it. But let's talk about this final bit. Luffy, like an idiot, an absolute idiot, says out loud, oh yeah, that Oshiruku was really nice. No wonder why you're depressed. What an idiot. Big Mum hears that, turns around, focusing on Luffy. She doesn't know who Luffy is, and Luffy's like, Oh, what, you don't recognise me? Oh yeah, it's because I'm dressed as a samurai. Luffy is being such an idiot in this chapter. He looks exactly the same. He's got the kimono just down by his waist. He's still got the straw hat on. What an idiot Luffy is this chapter, but it is hilarious. Queen also overhears, which is interesting. So now he's probably going to focus on Luffy as well. So I don't know if we're going to get kind of a three-way brawl thing going on here. But yeah, Big Mom is now looming down on Luffy, and she is mad that Luffy ate all of the Oshiruku. Old Man Hyo is like face palming like, Luffy, what have you done, you idiot? But in doing that, as she's approaching the stage that they're on is getting destroyed. Obviously they can't leave the ringed area or their neck collars, the spikes come out. And it gets to the point where Big Mom goes in for a punch and they get pushed out of the ring. The things start beeping. You see he gets the armament Haki up. He grabs onto Old Man Hyo's neck collar and bends it and breaks it off without the spikes going in and frees Old Man Hyo. And then when they land, Luffy's collar's gone and we don't see what's happened here. We clearly see how Luffy removes Old Man Hyo's one just by the brute strength of using his armament Haki. We can see that the collar is all shattered in like little pieces. But how on earth did Luffy get rid of his ones? Old Man Hyo saw it, because on the panels where Luffy is taking Old Man Hyo's ones off, it's very much from Luffy's perspective, but we don't get Old Man Hyo's perspective. But he saw something, and he's like, in moments of, you know, great stress, in testing times, is when your powers can get stronger, like what we heard about Haki, where Haki gets stronger when you're actually in the fight, then your new powers can bloom. But what was that new power? Was it advanced Haki? We saw that he was using armament Haki at the time, and we've never seen anybody use the advanced Haki while using the kind of the standard Haki that we know of. Or was it maybe even something like Luffy's awakening? Did he do something to the collar? Maybe he's turned it into like rubber somehow and it squeezed off his head? Or was it more that kind of armament Haki getting in there, doing something to the mechanisms inside or something and busting it off? No idea, but Old Man Hyo definitely saw it, and he takes this opportunity to be like, right Luffy, I'm not moving, and Big Mum is behind, you got to protect me Luffy, I ain't moving. And Luffy's like, are you crazy, you want to do training now? And Old Man Hyo's like, look, if you want to get this new power up, this is clearly the best way for you to learn. And we get Luffy ready, going in to face Big Mum, and that's where the chapter ends. Now this is going to be really, really interesting. We've seen Big Mum and Luffy clash before, and Luffy in Gear 4th was no match. How's it going to be now? Now that Luffy has done all of this training, the sea prison cuffs on against Katakuri, how will Luffy now face versus Big Mum? And most importantly, this will also be interesting scaling on Queen, because we saw that Queen just got so easily thrown around, but we never really saw him get any punches in. How is Luffy going to do? Is he just going to get thrown around, or is he going to get some good punches in? Is he going to knock Big Mum down onto her knees, and is she going to scrape her knees again and go into one of them fits? Who knows? It's going to be very interesting. I'm really hyped. I really, really, really hope again that we do not cut away from this chapter. I do really want to see what's going on with Zoro, with Kashiro, with Hiyori, with Sanji. I want to see what's going on with all of them, and my boy Frankie. But I really want to focus now on this Udon prison scene. I want to see Kawamatsu. I want to see Luffy versus Big Mum. Like I said in my reaction, this is now Big Mum versus everyone. She's going crazy. And Chopper's there as well. So, you know, why can't Chopper as well join in, help out? You know, let Chopper maybe face somebody like Old Maid, Babanuki. He seems to be at least the strongest of the gifters. He's the one that's kind of took charge while Queen was on the floor. So overall, what do I think about One Piece 946? I think it's absolutely awesome. This for me is gold tier, easy, gold tier plus, Noir Widowmaker. Fantastic chapter. The plot has advanced forward. Killer and Kid are now safe. Kawamatsu's cage has been busted open. We got a little bit of lore with the pond snails, which was nice. And we got to see a Yonko being a Yonko, even though that Yonko was nerfed. So hyped for next week. Sorry about this review being a little bit long, but there's just so much to talk about and it's so exciting. I'm sure I've missed loads. Anyway, let's go next week. Hey, so thanks for watching. What did you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my video, maybe give it a like. And if you really liked it, why not subscribe? You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Twitch. Oh, and here's a related video you might enjoy, and something more fresh. I've been Hegassen, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!